Hey, happy Monday. Thanks for joining us on this Monday afternoon. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox here with Hail Trace for your noon forecast today. It was a very busy start to your Monday. Debby made landfall overnight last night as a Category 1 hurricane, now a tropical storm. We are watching for historic rainfall along the East Coast. So while Debby has already made landfall and has actually now been downgraded for that wind speed, it still is posing a threat to the East Coast and will most likely be posing a threat for several days to come. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. We're also watching for that hail risk across the Midwest and parts of New England today. All right, we've got hail, high wind, and a tornado risk today. So it's not just that hail risk. However, I'm sure a lot of you jumped on to see that hail risk. We'll have that for you. We're also watching for just a brief heat relief for some. Just a few of us are expecting a brief heat relief as we head into the middle of August. Now, first, before we get to the forecast, I do want to remind you of that trade show that we will be at this week. So this is on August 8th, which I think is this Thursday. It's out in Grapevine, Texas, just outside of DFW. It's called the NTRCA Not So Many Trade Show. And if you would like more information on that, we have an event created on Facebook. So go to the Hail Trace Facebook. You can see exactly where to get those tickets. And of course, we'll be there. So we want you to stop by our booth and come say hello. Alrighty, let's go ahead and take a look at what we saw yesterday. Obviously, we have been watching that hurricane farther down to the south, but I do want to start with some other areas that saw some storm reports yesterday. We saw some strong winds up in Billings all the way down to Denver. A little bit of hail in South Dakota here. We've got some very isolated hail, maybe just outside of Chicago, out to the west of Houston as well. But of course, the big weather story yesterday into this morning has been that Category 1 that made landfall early this morning. Several tornado reports here, and I'm sure we will see several more as this continues to make its way up the East Coast. So there's those tornado reports that happened early this morning. We were talking about 11:45 Sunday afternoon or Sunday morning, and then 1 o'clock Sunday afternoon. We've got one just outside of Tampa into the afternoon and evening hours as well, and then a few tornado reports just outside of Gainesville as well. This is in the evening hours yesterday. Of course, that hurricane eventually made landfall through the overnight hours tonight and into early this morning. This, of course, still creating some pretty big hazards across the East Coast. So what we're watching for here is some really intense rainfall totals. So the more pink or red this color is, the higher those rainfall totals are. I picked out a few impressive rainfall totals just within the last 24 hours, just south of Tampa. I think this is called Balm, Florida. Over 7 inches of rain, 7 3/4 inch of rain here. And then up in this is actually where we saw landfall of the hurricane, the Great Bend or the Big Bend area. Over 10 inches of rain in this area. Of course, this hurricane, or now tropical storm, is continuing to move up to the north, creating even more problems in terms of that flooding concern in this area as those rainfall totals just go up and up and up. So of course, that's one of the big things that we're watching for today. Another thing that we're watching for is that severe weather, that severe risk, anywhere from the Midwest up to several of these New England states. I'll have a look at that for you in just a few minutes. But I do want to show you right now, we have currently some rain over Minneapolis. I haven't seen anything severe out of this, but I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see some severe weather in this area over the next few hours. And then if you look farther out to the north and east, we have actually seen a tornado warning out in New York and now a severe thunderstorm warning for small hail less than the size of a quarter, so that's 1 inch hail or smaller, and 60-mile-per-hour wind speeds. And it does look like a few of these storms are starting to weaken. However, still could go severe as we head into the afternoon hours. We're not done with this severe threat quite yet. Of course, all eyes are also on this storm because a tornado threat still exists for places like Georgia and South Carolina as we head into the afternoon hours, and this continues to make its way farther up to the north. All right, taking a look at your current temperatures right now, we're still dealing with that heat for some of us. 91 in Oklahoma City, 91 in Dallas. It'll stay hot, especially if you're south of like Kansas. So if you cut the U.S. in half, and you're on the southern edge of that, it's going to stay hot throughout the next week or two. On the northern edge, you may get some brief heat relief, and you can actually see in places like Minneapolis, where we are getting some rain right now, temperatures are a lot nicer in the upper 60s. A little bit nicer for those temperatures down in places like Atlanta, that's getting some of that cloud cover from this tropical storm as well. Okay, taking a little bit closer look to some of these places that are getting showers. These are your temperatures. Okay, we may have a duplicate graphic there, but here we go. Okay, let's zoom down, get a closer look at Oklahoma City. 91 right here in Oklahoma City, 94 up in Guthrie, 96 in Stillwater, 91 in Dallas right now, so it's going to be a hot lunchtime. Maybe you can find some shade or some AC. If you factor in the humidity into this, so we've got a lot of moisture surging up from the Gulf right now. It feels like 101 in Shreveport, 99 in St. Louis. So we do have some very high feel-like temperatures or heat indices out there right now. We've got 103 down in Galveston, Texas. All right, let's talk about that chance for severe storms today. Taking a look at that instability, our eyes automatically are drawn to the Midwest, right? As we see these storms throughout the late night hours tonight, you'll see they use up a lot of this instability. Strong storms, severe storms are expected in this area. Also for the hail risk, anywhere from Iowa out to Chicago, but I want you to go a little bit farther to the east here, and this area is where we have already seen those strong to severe thunderstorms today, and even a spotted tornado in this area, or a spotted funnel with damage on the ground in this area already this afternoon. So this is also another place that we're watching for strong to severe storms with some of that larger hail. I think if we see large hail, it'll be out of the Midwest, but it's going to be a lower chance to get hail in this area. We'll probably see a higher chance for hail up to the north and east, but it'll probably be on the smaller side. So that's exactly what your hail forecast shows you here, is that we could get anywhere from 1 1/4 inch to 1 3/4 inch of hail, anywhere from the Midwest up to the New England states. A better chance for that hail up to the north and east. However, I still think we could see some large hail in this area. I just think it's going to be a little bit more isolated. You can see that a lot of people either way are going to get that rain as well. What's the largest hail size we could see? Anywhere between, I think, golf ball to hen egg sized hail. I didn't go tennis ball sized hail quite yet. I think that we're going to stay a little bit on the smaller side here, but hey, hen egg sized hail, that's still pretty decent hail size. What about the other hazards that we're dealing with here? Well, we've got that wind hazard for storms all the way out to Montana and Idaho. And then, of course, what we've already talked about, back to the Midwest and Northeast. I think most of these storms today will probably have a wind threat to them. And then we've got that tornado threat, not only for the Midwest, so we're talking about Iowa, all the way out to Illinois, into Wisconsin, but also farther down to the south where we have that hurricane. And actually, one thing, this is on the bottom of your screen here, one thing that we talk about a lot with hurricanes is we're not going to get hail from a hurricane, okay? Even though it's going to be a severe thunderstorm in a lot of these areas, it may not be hail at all from a hurricane. High wind, obviously, is going to be a threat, and that tornado risk as well. We actually wrote a blog about a week or two ago, well, a bit longer than that now, from Hurricane Beryl. Whenever it came through, we talked about where exactly in the hurricane to watch for that tornado threat. So we talked about the right quadrant. If you're curious about that, that's at hailtrace.com, and you can see exactly where and why we would look for that tornado threat. Okay, taking a look at the future radar, let's start in the Midwest. We'll go to New England, and then we'll go farther down to the south to this tropical storm. We have showers and storms through Minneapolis, as I mentioned right now. We're expecting more showers and storms, most likely on the stronger to severe side, as we head into the evening hours. Dinner time in Chicago looks like it could be a wet one. 7 to 9 o'clock tonight, it looks like those storms will go right through Chicago. But the bulk of this moisture is staying farther up to the north. Everything farther down to the south is going to be pretty isolated. That's why I had a lower chance to see still large hail, but a lower chance to see that in this area. Okay, resetting our radar here. Oh, also I wanted to mention Cleveland. These storms will get to you by early tomorrow morning, so it could be a wet one early tomorrow morning for your commute. Okay, restarting our radar here and showing you the Northeast up into the New England states. You can see those showers and storms all the way through this afternoon, looking a little bit more numerous as we head into the afternoon and evening hours. So your dinner time will most likely be a soggy one as well. This will slowly shift off to the east as we head into the late night hours tonight, losing a lot of that severe potential as the sun goes down into the early morning hours. Boston, you as well, will probably have a soggy morning commute. Okay, let's head farther down to the south now, talk about that tropical storm. You can see this storm will be moving up to the north, bringing that tornado threat through places like Georgia and South Carolina as we head into the late night hours tonight. So from now all the way through the late night hours into tomorrow morning. I know we talked about that tornado threat, but I think the flooding threat is going to be an even more threatening impact here, okay? That flood threat with just historic rainfall possible, I think is going to be one of the big topics of concern here. One thing that's really interesting with this tropical storm is it could actually go off land, go back into the ocean, and then remake landfall again back into South Carolina. So that's something that just a little bit of a location difference could bring this off land and then back to make landfall again in South Carolina over the next few days. So that's something that we're going to be watching for Tuesday and Wednesday. So we could have a second landfall from this as we head into the later portion of the work week. Just something interesting there. Again, the flooding threat is going to be the big impact for this. We have a very, very good flood threat from northern Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, up to North Carolina. So here we are on Tuesday, Wednesday into Thursday. This flood threat just goes up the East Coast here. The only good thing about this that you can see is that we actually get some heat relief from this area. So temperatures going down into the 80s as we head into Tuesday afternoon. Meanwhile, farther back off to the west, we have temperatures in the upper 90s and triple digits into Oklahoma City. Let's see, triple digits in Salt Lake City. Anyone else want to join us in the triple digits here? Nope. All right, lucky winner, Oklahoma City, getting that century mark. It's going to be a hot one all the way through Wednesday and Thursday. Look farther up to the north, temperatures are a little bit cooler in this area. I think that we're going to see some heat relief up to the north as we head into the middle of August. So taking a look at that extended temperature outlook, this is from August 10th through the 14th. So we're in the middle of August at this point. It looks like we have a really, really good chance for temperatures to be below average in places like Chicago, Minneapolis, all the way out to Billings, maybe even Denver, seeing those temperatures below average at 83, 80, below average would be 82, 81, maybe even lower than that. Unfortunately, Oklahoma City is going to be above average, probably in the mid 90s to upper 90s as we head into the middle of August. But hey, we're used to that heat here in Oklahoma. We'd love to see some relief. It looks like we're going to stay pretty warm and dry in places like Oklahoma and Texas, further off to the west, staying dry as well. The bulk of the moisture over the next 5 days will be in the northern plains, Midwest, and then of course in that area that we've been talking about, that flood threat. You can see those areas highlighted in pink, okay? This is 5+ inches of rain, but this is probably on the low side for places like South Carolina and North Carolina. You're probably gonna get well over 5 inches of rain in some isolated spots, but of course this goes all the way up the East Coast as we head into the next 5 days. Looking a little farther out than that, August 10th to the 14th, it looks like that chance for rain will shift off to the west, seeing a really good chance of above average rainfall totals out to the west here. Drier through the south, and then I think this is still some leftover moisture from the Tropical Storm Debby that we're talking about today. All right, I saw a few comments on there today. Thanks for jumping on this afternoon for your lunchtime forecast. As always, if you want to comment where you're watching from, or even if you have a question or comment, we'd love to see those. You can comment on Facebook and YouTube, but you can watch live Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and now TikTok. We do behind the scenes on TikTok over here as well. Okay, go ahead and give us a follow. We would love to see you on our social media. And of course, if you need any hail, wind, or tornado maps, you can give us a call for a plan at 855-334-4245. Email us at info@hailtrace.com or head over to our website, hailtrace.com. As I mentioned, Our website not only has those hail maps, but we also have a blog on there that we talk about things like Hurricane Beryl or Tropical Storm Debby. So we would love for you to hop over there. If you're a weather enthusiast like we are, you're gonna love that website. All right, have a fantastic Monday. We'll see you back here, same time, same place tomorrow.